Welcome, my name is Kathy A, and today I'm going to do a special show all about the brand NARS. Now this is a very high-end brand and the price points are a little bit over some of our pocketbooks, but the quality is very nice, and I've got an assortment of products. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the brand, and then when we come back I'll show you how I got to this face from my freshly scrubbed, not so decorative face. Be back with you in a moment.
Growing up in the south of France, in Tarbes, a small town, young Francois Nars was quite heavily influenced by his fashion-forward grandmother and mother, Claudette. On the coffee table were books by Andy Warhol, which included portraits of really exotic-looking people. Also, his mother was a big collector of magazines, and he loved going through the fashion magazines of the day. Most interesting to him were the very edgy and artistic photos by Guy Bourdon, who had an extraordinary look at women. Although slightly erotic and a little bit edgy, Bourdon had a very unique perspective when it came to photographing art and women, although he did have a somewhat violent streak. And this is actually a shoe ad. And the violent sort of effect was showing off the fashion in kind of an unusual way. In addition, there were also photographs by Helmut Newton, who was very, very interesting with his nudity, his contrast, his celebrity photos, and just a perspective that was a little bit unique from the average modeling and beauty photography of the day. This is Linda Evangelista. This is Claudette Nars, and she was a stunningly beautiful woman. She often had appointments for hair and makeup, and she would take Francois with her to the salon. He was fascinated watching the women transform themselves from plain Janes to beautiful women. Claudette also had an extraordinary collection of clothes, and Francois was fascinated with her closet. He was always dressed in designer clothing himself. When he decided to go to school, he wanted to be a makeup artist. He thought it would be fascinating to learn the beauty industry because he loved it so much. So he graduated from the Carita School of Beauty in Paris, and soon was asking his mother if she could kind of drop the word that he was looking to be an assistant. She actually sat in the chair of beauty artists and tried to see if she could get her son a job helping them out, and she finally met one who said yes. Oliver Ischaud-Masson was a runway makeup artist and one of the best, and young Francois learned a lot from this man and soon became a very good runway model makeup expert himself. He soon became quite sought after and wound up working on sets for different magazine shoots. He met with Calvin Klein and Marc Jacobs, and also photographer Steven Meisel, and they convinced him to move to America. He moved to New York in 1984, and he met up with his muse at this time, and that was Linda Evangelista. Teaming up with Steve Meisel and Cuban hairstyle sensation Orbe, Nars became well known as a makeup artist of the stars. He had a unique style of creating exotic beauty out of people's imperfections. Most famously, caused a little bit of controversy during an Anasui runway show when he actually shaved off the eyebrows of one of her models for the runway show. His wonderful makeup work and beautiful photographs of model Linda Evangelista caught the attention of Madonna and other models like Naomi Campbell. Now, Nars kind of embraced the party life of his new residence, and it was during a Marc Jacobs show that he realized he really wanted to have makeup that he could count on that would be consistent, and decided to open his own line of makeup. With a connection to Andy Warhol, Fabien Baron was actually the art director of the infamous Interview magazine. He was a genius with logos and branding, so NARS had him create the very, very recognizable NARS logo. Now, NARS decided to launch his first cosmetics, a set of 12 lipsticks. Named for movies, stars, and songs, these 12 lipsticks are still in the collection, such as Blonde Venus, Casablanca, Morocco, Funny Face, Heat Wave, Jungle Red, Trans-Siberian, Scarlet Empress, Trans-Europe Express, Shanghai Express, and Red Lizard. Francois was an avid photographer, and he decided, since he had somewhat of a limited budget, launching his line of cosmetics, he took all of the photos himself for the ads and promotion. Over the next 10 to 15 years, NARS Cosmetics blossomed and grew, and new products were added all the time, some with themes and some with different skin types in mind, and a luxury line of brushes as well. His most popular item of all time so far has been the Orgasm Color Blush. This also caused a whole line to be named for it and became probably a NARS trademark. NARS released his first book on photography in 1999 called X-Ray. It showed people in unusual costumes and special effects. He was a very artistic young man, and he was very inspired by other photographers that he knew at the time. He also shot covers for Japanese Vogue and other magazines, but he continued with his makeup and released his first makeup book, Make Up Your Mind, it was called. And again, he followed that up with another book about makeup called Make Up Your Mind, Express Yourself. To celebrate 15 years of being NARS Makeup, he had a big launch party, and he created a book especially for the launch called 15 by 15. This features some iconic folks wearing various NARS makeup in unusual ways. Most notably, this is Marc Jacobs. And of course, other models of the day. Now, NARS is actually a really nice fellow, and he appeared in many TV shows and talk shows, and he's always very kind to fans and people who ask for autographs, often telling them how beautiful they are, how nice their makeup looks. He's a creative man, and he's inspired by places he's visited and old movies he got a kick out of, and a lot of his ad campaigns and names of his products come from these things, especially Andy Warhol and the Velvet Underground, who inspired a whole line one year. Now, NARS also continued to shoot magazine covers using his muse, Linda Evangelista, and other unusual and iconic faces. He's very drawn to people who have unusual features or face shapes or things about them that make them look strong and powerful. NARS was also smart enough to cater to all skin types and tones, and didn't have any borders when it came to the colors and wonder of his products. They opened several NARS stores around the world, and NARS is featured in many counters and fine department stores. By 2011, NARS brand was at its peak, but Francois wanted to have a little bit of a break to enjoy his life. He actually decided to sell the company, and Sheseido Cosmetics, a famous skincare and makeup line, purchased NARS brand from him, but he remained creative director, and he was still able to do his runway shows. While on a family vacation, NARS discovered the island. He bought the island. This island is one of 118 islands in the French Polynesia, and it's called Mototane, which means island of universal love. Now, there was no electricity and no dwellings on the island, and there were natives there, so he respected the natives' privacy, but he did create a bit of a compound. He hired a crew to bring in electricity and landscape. He had over 1,000 coconut trees planted. That's one of his favorite enjoyment treats. And it's about a 5-minute ride from Bora Bora. He actually did a whole photo shoot on the natives and the land in the island, and it's recently released. He's there about 6 months out of the year, and when he's not there, he rents out the island to private parties and anybody who wants to spend $30,000 a night to stay on a luxurious island. His parents have their own room there, and he has several rooms and parties there often through the year. They celebrated their 20th anniversary in 2014, and Charlotte Rampling was one of their guests. The NARS line has certainly expanded and grown and has a reputation for being high quality, luxurious, and edgy in some cases. And NARS still puts his stamp of approval before anything is released. The products are innovative and colorful and made from the highest quality ingredients. The 2013 holiday collection caused a huge controversy. This was dedicated to Guy Bourdon. Remember that French photographer he loved so much as a child? Well, the controversial nature of the photographs for this NARS holiday collection caused many feminists and people who weren't feminists to boycott this particular series. This was really hard for a lot of fans of NARS Cosmetics because on the one hand, they loved the products and the colors featured in this particular collection, and yet the very violent nature of how women were depicted in the ads were very offensive, and some even found some of the names of the products to be a little over the top. Now, Francois Nars continues to work for NARS, even though he no longer owns the company. He is creative director and works with the products. But his first love is photography, and besides doing runway makeup still, he is still creating books of his wonderful photographs and creating wonderful new products. Unfortunately, because Sheseido owns the NARS brand now, they are actually not cruelty-free. So unfortunately, this narrator will not be purchasing NARS Cosmetics.
So now we all feel enlightened, and he was a hunk. Okay, so let's go through the magic of video back in time, and let me show you how I got to here from my plain face. I'll be back shortly.
Okay, whirlwind tour here. This is the Lip Smacker in pink grapefruit. This might not have been a good choice. There's a little bit of micro glitter in it. We're starting off with NARS All Day Luminous Foundation in Mont Blanc. This is the second to lightest shade in the line. You have to shake this up really well because it's a very lightweight makeup. This makeup would be perfect for somebody with combination or oily skin. Now I'm just putting it on half of my face because I'm going to use a different color on the other side. And I'm using a brush to work this side in, and it goes in quite easily, blends quite well. It's a beautiful thin sheer liquid foundation, but there's kind of a medium coverage. I have seen other people review this and absolutely love it. It's a little bit light for me, so on this side I'm going to use the All Day Luminous Foundation in Deauville. This is a slightly darker, warmer color, probably third in the line. And I'm just putting it on the one side of my face. This goes with my complexion much better than the other one. And I'm using a Beauty Blender sponge to just kind of tap and roll and twist it into my skin. Now the problem with using a beauty blender with this particular foundation is that it absorbs a lot of the liquid. So personally, if I were to do it again, I would actually use my fingers to blend it in. I think the heat of your hand and then blending it with your fingers does a much better job. So it's actually a very nice foundation, but it did cling a little bit to my dry patches. And there I am looking and seeing it clinging to my dry patches. And I'm making the face. Next is the NARS Creamy Concealer in Chantilly. Now it is indeed not really a creamy concealer. It is a little bit fast drying, and it's actually a little drying. Again, this is for somebody who has probably an oily T-zone, would probably enjoy this a little bit more. I actually compared this with Wet n Wild's concealer, the Fergie Cover Correct. And the Wet n Wild beat the formula out, so that's not saying too much. So for the money, no, I don't think it's a good deal. I'm just going to use the Mally Face Defender instead of powder over the top because it is a little bit glowy, and I want to make sure to have not so much glowiness in the middle of my face. So the Mally Face Defender I'm just using instead of powder. I didn't want to buy the NARS powder. Now this is the infamous Orgasm Blush, which is probably in most people's cosmetic wardrobe. I had a full-size one at one point, and then I actually hit pan on it and threw it out. So I'm just using the little duo you can get at the checkout there near Sephora, where they have the duo of the Laguna and Orgasm, which I think is a great deal for like 15 bucks. On this side we've got the Laguna bronzer, and it blends nicely, and it's, you know, kind of infamous for being a fairly nice bronzer. I'm using it for contour here, but I think you could also use it as an all-over bronzer come summertime. And I'm putting it underneath my chipmunk gels. I'm looking out the window at the squirrels at the bird feeder. Sorry. Now this is a eyeshadow duo in Madrog. It's a very matte, light beige and light brown color. Very boring for me to choose out of all the wonderful NARS colors. I'm so sorry I took beige. So I'm using the lighter color all the way on my lid. I started with just on my lid, and then I decided to go all the way up and make it kind of more of an eye base. There I go. These shadows blend like silk. They're really, really nice. I think I would get an actual palette rather than just a duo. Now this is a very subtle beige, light brown color, perfect for the crease. Blends really beautifully. It's for a very, very light casual day look where you don't really want to look like you're wearing makeup, but it does accentuate your crease, and it gives a really nice polished look to your eye makeup. I really like these shadows very much. And I'm also going on the edge of my outer corner of my lid there. Now this is the larger than life eyeliner in Via Veneto. This is something that I got in my birthday kit from Sephora. It is kind of a hard pencil. I was a little surprised at how hard it was. And what I'm doing here is sort of making a V, because I don't have a dark shadow. I'm kind of trying to use this as a shadow, but it's not very blendable as a shadow, so I'm a little disappointed there. And it's black, which is not really a good color when you're older or if you're very, very pale. Now there I am making kind of a makeshift beginning there to something I'm going to blend out, hopefully blend it out so it looks nice. Using a large fluffy brush with nothing on it to kind of blend out that dark liner that I just added to my eyes. And it's kind of a hot mess. I really needed to get a darker shadow, and I feel bad that I did not invest in it. And I'm just using my finger to blend a little bit. I think fingers work really well to blend. Went back to that Laguna bronzer and just kind of softened up the pencil look with that. I always like to use my bronzer in either the crease or as an eyeshadow. I think it works really well in both capacities. And you can really feel the quality of the NARS Cosmetics. They're very, very high quality. When you use a drugstore makeup and then you use something like NARS, you actually can see night and day difference in how it blends and how it applies. Just adding a little bit more of that eyeliner in Via Veneta. And I'm going in with a brow brush and again that very, very versatile Laguna bronzer. I'm using it as a powder brow powder. It's actually filling in quite nicely. It's a very natural brow. I don't go nuts with huge giant brows. I think they look too Joan Crawford on older women, so I tend to stay with more what they call the lady brow, which is just a very natural looking. Now I'm going to curl my lashes, and I'm using a Tarte eyelash curler. I'm doing 8 seconds on each side, but because this is speeded up, it doesn't look like I'm spending much time at all. It's always important to curl your lashes. Now this is the NARS Larger Than Life Volumizing Mascara. And it's got a nice brush. Gives you nice big old honkin' lashes. I don't know if it was somewhat of a dry formula or not, but I had a hard time kind of getting those big honkin' lashes. I had to do 2 or 3 coats to try to get it as big as I like. It wasn't clumpy at all, but it really took a lot of effort to get some good volume and length out of this particular mascara. I was a little disappointed. What a difference mascara makes, huh? Okay, we're going into the lips now, and this is the Velvet Lip Liner in Petong Beach. And again, this was one of those that was inspired by his Tahitian Paradise Island that he purchased. It's a very pretty color. This wound up in one of my giveaways, actually. I put it in as one of the giveaway prizes. Now, this is NARS lipstick in Dolce Vita. I have to admit I bought it because I love the film and because it looked like a nice neutral, and it is a beautiful neutral lipstick. Showing you my eyes. Yeah, okay. Alright, now we're going to take off the lipstick and I'm going to show you one of his newer satin lip pencils. It's a satin lip pencil in Raikkojen. And again, I think it has something to do with Tahiti, but I'm not sure. My geography for that part of the world is not so good. Now this came as a gift from Sephora in my birthday kit.
And so here is the NARS face. I'm very, very happy with a lot of the products from NARS, and of course there are classics such as the Orgasm Blush and the bronzer, which are a favorite. And I found that the Mont Blanc side is a little paler, and actually the little dots showed up a little bit more in my pores, but neither of the two colors covered my dry skin very well, but I was definitely disappointed in that. Now the colors of this particular eyeshadow palette are so bland. I mean, I literally looked like I had nothing on my eyes, and when I added in the eyeliner, it was so hard and rough that it just looked like a bunch of lines on my eyes, and I couldn't blend it. I had a hard time. I think maybe mixing it with a little argan oil or something might have helped there, but this was not a very good eyeliner. It was very hard, and I don't like to, draw hard lines. I couldn't tight line with it. I couldn't do anything that I wanted to, so I was very disappointed in the eyeliner, and I'm sure it'll last because ugly things usually last. Stuff I don't like lasts forever. The lip pencil felt very creamy. I'm not sure about this color, but I really liked it, and when I used it yesterday, it stayed on, and my lipstick had worn off, but I still had a little bit of a line, so this stays on quite well. So if you were to do your whole lips with this color, it will last. It's not drying at all, and it's a good color on its own. So anyway, that was the lip pencil. The lipstick Dolce Vita. I actually bought this both because it was kind of a natural color and also because I love the film. And this was my first NARS purchase ever, was the Dolce Vita lipstick. And this is what I got in my birthday kit, which is kind of a combo liner, lipstick, and gloss all together. So this was nice. I mean, it was a nice gift. I mean, anything free is nice. I struggled a little bit with my eyelashes, and then I realized that the mascara, which I was not very happy with at all, the mascara was very dry. It's very formula, and it took me like 4 coats to get any kind of volume or length or anything, so I wasn't really happy with the mascara. I'm not sure how to take all of this stuff back, but I'm actually going to take everything back. I'm so glad I just got samples of the foundation, because I haven't really had any luck with NARS foundations, and the Sheer Glow also did something very similarly. And if you are a Sheer Glow user, be aware that these colors are slightly off from the Sheer Glow tints of the same kind, so make sure you get a sample or you swatch it before you purchase it, because you may find that it's a little bit darker or a little more yellow than what you remember. So I hope you've enjoyed this special today on NARS Cosmetics, and I'll be back with you again next time. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Toodles.